I grabbed my dress and got dressed as fast as I could. Samson did the same. We ran down the hill and through the town. Vikings were running around and shouting, "Get more water! Put out the flames! Is anyone still alive?" Tears ran down as I saw the horror that was my father's ship. A mangled, twisted wreckage. Flames licked the sails and bow. I shuddered no as I covered my mouth and gasped. How was the ship even still floating? That did not matter, though. All I was concerned about was fiending my father. At the water's edge now, Samson and I could see men jumping off the wrecked ship and swimming to shore. With no warning, there was a loud crack, and the ship broke in half and started to go under. I felt so helpless, just standing there worried about my father. I recognized one of the men who had just reached the shore. He was my father's first mate and closest friend. I ran over to where he was, still crying my eyes out. My father! Is he all right? Where's my father?" I cried out. Gasping for breath, my father's friend just had a grim look on his face. "What happened?" I screamed again. "We were on our way back when we spotted an island that wasn't on the charts and seemed to be moving towards us. We set sail towards it to check it out. When we got closer to it, we could see riches beyond anything we had ever seen in our lives. We all ran ashore, shouting out what we were going to do with our share. Blinded by all the gold and treasure, we didn't realize we were being watched. Out of nowhere, we were under attack. Hundreds, no thousands of warriors swamped us in seconds. Your father was cutting them down, 2 at a time. I had never seen a braver man. He held them off so that the remaining Vikings could retreat to the ship. But the strange demon-like soldiers were on the boat as well. Most of us died fending them off the ship. Your father stayed behind to hold them off so that we could get out. The last thing I saw of that horror island was your father slaying demons." My whole body was pale and shocking, tears streaming down my face. My knees went weak, but Samson wrapped my arms around me and held me tight. The comfort of his warm embrace soothed my soul and warmed my heart. He just held me there as the whole village was running around in a mad panic to figure out what had happened. Then all went silente, and my whole body felt light as a feather. My eyes changed from their usual golden color, one fiery red and the other ash gray. I could feel my whole body being filled with power, as if I were a golden cup, and the gods themselves were pouring pure nog into my very soul. My eyes darted open as there was a deafening roar. Everyone froze. Not a sound could be heard but the faint echo of what we had all just heard. My gaze went toward Samson, whose hair had gone straight and gone black as the darkest night. His eyes were also blue and gray. What was going on? But I had no time to think. We turned to see a great king dragon diving towards the harbor. What was a king black dragon doing this far north? Then, nothing! I could see the scared Viking rushing to the catapults to try and fend off the king dragon. As the dragon was nearly on top of us now, my whole body was raped into the air, flying towards the flying great dragon. I opened my mouth to scream, but as I did this, a great ball of golden fire bellowed out of my mouth into the smoldering sky. Samson took my hand in his, and in my mind, like Esp, I heard meh. He said to close my eyes and concentrate on ethnobotany. I had no idea what he meant, but I trusted him with my life, so I did as he said and thought of ethnobotany. Samson drew his once slender blade, but it had changed. It was now pure gold and longer than 8 feet long, the hilt silver and encrusted with green gems. I saw him fly towards the dragon, and I could see how he was flying. There was a dark figure with wings like a demon and a head like a great green turtle carrying him through the air like an angel. I turned my head only to see I was also being carried, much unlike Samson's, though mine had wings like a dove and the head of an antelope with long horns of blue and gold hair. I turned just in time to see Samson's attack fail. As he was engulfed with flames, I screamed at the sight, and fire again barreled out of my mouth. I heard a voice. It was the angel talking. She said it was up to me. Only I could defeat the King Black Dragon. She said, "It's up to you, Emily. I can lend you my power, but you must deliver the kill. Take my weapon," she said, and in a blind confusion I reached back and felt a chain. I took it in my hand. It was a gold chain with a 3-pronged blade on the end that was glowing with red smoke and seemed to come to life in my hand. The angel swooped up in the sky and dropped above the black dragon that was now roaring and pelting boats with orange fire. As I fell towards the beast, I felt no fear. My body was filled with unimaginable power, and I knew what I had to do. I swung down, screaming fire on the dragon's dark neck. It turned its gaze up to me as my arms swung the 3-pronged soul stealer into its face. 1 prong in each eye, and the third its nose. The golden chain changed from gold to black as the dragon roared, as I was stealing its soul and taking its power for my own. The dragon's skin and flesh burned to nothing, and my soul stealer disappeared as I floated to the ground. I couldn't hear anything of the cheers of my people. "The dragon's dead! Less than Emily killed it!" they cried. I whispered, "Samson, oh Samson, where are you?" I looked up as I saw him rising out of the ash, floating and walking towards me. His skin was burnt and charred. He looked awful. But as he floated towards me, the closer he got, the more his flesh healed. Then he reached out to me, naked as he was, but without a scratch on his muscular body, his eyes still blue and gray. I took his hand in mine, and he whisked me away, up, up, up the mountain that my village was at the bottom of. We came upon a cold, grassy field, and still floating above the ground, he took me into his arms and started to kiss me. I could see in his eyes that my eyes were also still red and gray. I thought the power must still be lingering in our bodies. I kissed him passionately as we floated, and he untied my dress in the back. My dress fell to the ground as he ran his warm hand down my...
Tim Robbins, Terry Jones, really, Bertha Kitt, Mickey Rooney.
Finished as we were, I sighed as we floated softly to the ground and just lay there for what seemed like hours on end in each other's arms, looking at the starry sky. I awoke to the sound of Samson breathing, and I had never felt so calm and peaceful in my life. Then I jerked upright and let out a small scream. My father! He was still missing! Exclamation point. Samson got up with me as we got dressed in a hurry and ran down to my house. I opened the chest in the far corner of my small house and proceeded to take out my light armor and putting it on. It was pure silver, but light as a feather. I looked really sexy in a badass way. In the bottom of the chest was a very old sword my father had given me when I was young.
"This sword will protect you in your time of need. It's woven with immense power,"
my father had told me. He had won it in a raid of the land of Warlocks. It was slender like my body, and there were vines with thorns engraved along the blade and a long red ribbon flowing off the hilt. I attached it to my belt as Samson asked, "What are you going to do, Emily?" "Whatever I can," I replied. "I can't leave my father out there all alone. He's all I have left, and he's always been there for me. Now it's my turn to save him. I'm coming with you, Emily. You will need me on your journey." I was happy he was coming with me. Even though I had just met him, I felt so safe when he was around. I knew we wouldn't fail in our mission to save my father. We were walking through the town together now to Samson's small boat. We looked super badass together. My slender legs covered in silver, and the ribbon on my blade flowing as we walked. Everyone around up couldn't help but stare. We got to Samson's boat after talking to my father's friend who gave up the location of the island, and we set sail. I was standing on the bow of the boat with the wind blowing my beautiful golden hair, as I looked towards the horizon.
It had been 3 days now, and Samson and I had enjoyed many good nights together on the boat to pass the time.
My cries of pleasure would carry out over the water for miles and echo back. I was starting to get worried now, though, 'cause it had been 3 days and we still hadn't come across the island. It was pretty hot with the sun beating down on my face all day long, so I decided to go for a swim in the nude to cool off Samson's smile as he watched me undress. I dove into the water head first, my small body hardly even making a splash.
I opened my eyes and looked down. The visibility was good. I could see maybe 100 feet down before it got to dark.
The beauty was immense, but I didn't feel good. I was worried about my father. What could be happening to him, was he orc? I wondered where he could be. Would we ever find him? Then in the distance I could see a figure gliding towards me. I couldn't tell what, but it filled me with wonder and interest. It was so beautiful. Closer now, I could tell it was a deep green blanket octopussy. I was frozen with wonder as it stopped right in front of me and just hovered there, looking into my eyes like it was trying to communicate with me. On impulse, I closed my eyes and focused on ethnobotany. Then I heard it, faint at first, then clearer. He was talking to me. He said in a great, proud voice,
"My name is Gollum. I have been sent by your father to find you. He is in great danger and needs your help."
Then, with my eyes closed, Gollum sent my a pit cure in my Mindy of the island and where we could find it. Then he said,
"In your time of need, I will help you. All you have to do is concentrate on ethnobotany, and I will help."
He turned and swam away. I couldn't breath. I had to surfac. As my head broke through the water, I gasped for breath as I threw my hair back, little droplets of water sparkling in the sun. Samson reached down to me and pulled me onto the boat. He said, "I was worried about you. You were down there for a long time." I was painting to catch my breath, but I managed to explain to him what had just happened. "Wow! That must mean your father is an ethnobotany man and passed it on to you. You both have great power and are to be feared." I had no idea what this meant, but I didn't have time to think about it. We turned the ship and set sail in the island's direction. Hours passed before the island was in sight. I was so relieved when I could see it. We were almost there. My spirits high. I just wanted the damn ship to go faster. Samson must have sensed my angst,
'Cause he put his arm around me and just smiled.
"We're going to find your father, Emily. Everything is going to be A-okay." Hard cork,